The Longhorns bounce back, but there's still plenty of room for improvement. The Locked On Longhorns postgame show starts now. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. We're free and available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. That's one of the fastest ways to help us grow right here on Locked On, your team every day. Texas picks up its first win of the season as the Longhorns bounce back and take down San Jose State by a final score of 38-7. Plenty of good, some bad, and some ugly to talk about from today's game. But most importantly, the Longhorns bounce back after the disappointment of week one in Columbus. Texas returns home and they take care of business against a far inferior opponent, and they cruise to a pretty easy 31-point victory. The good, complimentary football. We saw a lot of it in the first half. You know, the Texas defense was phenomenal against Ohio State, holding the Buckeyes to just over 200 yards and only 11 first downs in the entire game. But the one sort of negative from the Longhorns' defensive performance in week one, they didn't force a turnover. How about 4 turnovers, all in the first half for this Texas defense today? Anthony Hill responsible for a couple of them. He falcon punched poor Danny Scudero to create one of them. Another forced fumble that Trey Moore returned to the 1-yard line that set up an easy Texas touchdown drive. You had Jalen Gilbo with the tip drill interception. And how about T'Anthony Smith? We've been talking about him a lot on this channel. The coaching staff very excited about him. I'm very excited about him. What an individual effort. The forced fumble and fumble recovery midway through the second quarter. That was great to see as well. 4 Texas takeaways. It turned into 21 points for the Longhorn offense, right? Taking the ball away, that's a good thing, but you need to turn that into points, and the Longhorns were able to cash in on 3 of those 4 takeaways. The fourth one was the Arch Manning interception in the red zone at the end of the first half. So the Longhorns moved the ball a little bit, but unfortunately that drive ended with nothing. But the defense, incredibly opportunistic today. That's something that Steve Sarkisian and Pete Kwiatkowski preached all offseason long. They wanted to be even better at taking the ball away in 2025 than they were in 2024, which sounded crazy to me because the Longhorns were second in the country in forced turnovers last year. And you've got Sark saying, no, I want to be better, and I think we can be better. Again, didn't see any of that last weekend. How about 4 of those today? Texas defense making the most of its opportunities. And we'll stick with the defense. Look, you give up 7 points. That's pretty good. I was impressed by this Longhorn secondary today. Like, I don't know if a lot of people realize this. San Jose State was 5th in the country last year in passing yards per game. They averaged 322 pass yards per game a season ago. They threw the ball a lot, 42 passing attempts for Egett today. The Longhorns only gave up 188 yards passing, and Egett was 21 of 42. So a 50% completion percentage, not all that great. Walker Egett, 21 of 42. The backup came in and threw 1 pass. It was an incompletion. So, the Texas secondary, they rotated a bunch of guys throughout the game. And even though they had a lot of new faces back there, for the most part, they did a really, really good job. Yeah, San Jose State was able to move the ball some. They were able to complete some passes. It wasn't perfect. But again, that is a passing offense that was one of the most efficient in college football last year. And it's the same quarterback calling the shots and running the show. I know Nick Nash not being there is a downer for San Jose State, but still a really good passing offense that likes to stretch the field a lot. And Texas did a pretty good job, all things considered, of keeping San Jose State in front of them, not giving up a lot of big plays. And again, less than 200 yards passing for a team that throws the ball 43 times in a game. That's pretty efficient defensively for Texas. This team's given up 21 points total in their first 2 games of the year. That's 10.5 points per game. If Texas does that over the course of the season, they're going to be top 5 in the country in that stat. I think anybody would sign for that. So that's some good from the defense, and there's more to get into. But moving over to the offensive side of the football, we'll get to Arch Manning's day in a moment. A lot of good, still some things that need cleaning up from QB1. But I think the best good for the Texas offense, Parker Livingston. And can y'all stop hitting me with the Livingstone? It's Livingston. The TV announcers told the story. Craig Way on the radio broadcast told the story. I know how it's spelled. Parker wants it said Livingston. It's Parker Livingston. He could be called whatever he wants if he plays like that. 4 catches, 128 yards, 2 more touchdowns for him. He was responsible for the first 3 Longhorn touchdowns of the season. Of course, he scored the only touchdown for Texas last week. He scored the first 2 of today's game in quarter number 1. I mean, that guy's awesome, man. 0 career catches coming into the season. He's making some things happen, and it feels like every time he makes a catch, he ends up getting into the end zone. I think he's got 6 catches through 2 games. 3 of them have been for scores. Parker Livingston, a lot of Jordan Shipley comparisons. You know, everybody wants Arch and Livingston to be the next Colt McCoy and Jordan Shipley. Of course, those guys were roommates, and Arch and Parker are roommates. The fact that they're both white, I think, is why a lot of people are connecting those 4 guys together. But what an impressive start to the redshirt freshman year for Parker Livingston. He looks like a difference maker, and he's honestly been the best Texas wide receiver through these first 2 games of the year. You know, I was high on him. I think every Longhorn fan was high on Parker Livingston because of the things we heard about him in the offseason. I don't know if anybody saw him being the best receiver on this team through the first 2 games of the season. He has been really, really impressive and really, really effective. How about the 83-yard catch and run, obviously, to get the scoring started for Texas, and averaged 32 yards a grab. Obviously, having an 83-yarder will help there, but really impressed by Parker Livingston. He's got size. He's a good route runner. That second touchdown, the nice shimmy shake to get open over the middle of the field, beating man-to-man coverage. Good ball from Arch there as well. Yeah, Livingston, very impressed by him. Texas has something special with number 13. Also, Jack Endries, 2 catches, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns. We didn't see a lot of injuries in the second half. You know, Texas was rotating Jordan Washington and Nick Townsend and Amari Winston. The Longhorns had a pretty comfortable lead. Some of their better players didn't play much. Hell, Trey Wisner didn't suit up at all in this game today. So a lot of rotation. So Jack Endries had the opportunity, I think, if he played more, to put up bigger numbers. But 2 catches, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. Every Texas fan was kind of wondering, okay, without Gunnar Helm, what type of production are we going to get from the tight end room? Hey, not only Gunnar Helm, Texas also lost Amari Niblack and Juan Davis from last year's team. The top 3 tight ends from 2024 are not on the team. Texas goes out and gets Jack Endries, and through a couple of games, he's been very, very impressive. 2 touchdowns for him. The first 2 of his Texas career, you had a 36-yarder and a 26-yarder as well. Like what I saw from Jack Endries a lot. Another positive, the kicker, Mason Shipley. That was a question that I had about this game. I mean, Texas didn't kick a field goal last week. They only had 1 extra point last week. Mason Shipley drilled it. You don't really learn a lot from your kicker from an extra point. But how about that 47-yard field goal that he drilled in the 3rd quarter? I think the opening drive of the 3rd quarter for Texas. That was good to see. 1 for 1 on field goals, but he made it right down the middle. That's, again, not a lot of big kicks. At least there shouldn't be a lot of big kicks for the remainder of non-conference play. Nice to see one go in. Hopefully that gives him some confidence for when the kicks get a lot bigger when we get to SEC play. So there's the good. Real quick, let's talk about Arch Manning's day, because there's some good and then there's some bad. And then in the next segment, we'll talk about the bad and the ugly, cough, cough, penalties from this game. A good bounce back by Arch. It was far from perfect. And I don't know if y'all saw this, but right after the game, he was interviewed by Katie George on the field, and he said sloppy. Like, he wasn't really impressed by his performance today. I think maybe he's being a little bit too hard on himself, because there was a lot of good from Arch today. 19 of 30, 295 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, also added a rushing touchdown as well. Did have that interception that we talked about a few minutes ago at the very end of the first half. A lot of good, but still some mechanical breakdowns. Still some dicey footwork at times. Still missed a couple of easier throws. The bad interception. He didn't get a lot of help from the offensive line. There was a breakdown up front, which allowed a free rusher to basically get right in his face. But that's one, Sark said it going into halftime. You got to eat that one, man. You're in field goal range. Like, you can't just chunk it up for grabs like that. Obviously, his arm got hit. It caused the ball to flutter. You can't do that. If a guy's right there, throw it away. If you can't throw it away, just take a sack. And you can't turn the ball over in the red zone. Arch knows that. That was a mistake. But much better overall than last week. The running ability is a huge plus. I mean, that what was it, 20-yard rushing touchdown that he had in the third quarter, making a couple of guys miss, tiptoeing the sideline. That's a difference maker right there. And that's a big difference in this Texas offense versus what they've had the last 3 seasons. I thought the overall pocket presence was a lot better today. Still some nervousness, still some, again, footwork issues, but, the elusiveness that we saw from Arch in the pocket. It wasn't a great day for the Texas offensive line. It really wasn't. And if Quinn Ewers is back there with his kind of lack of footwork, that could have been like a 5-6 sack day for Texas, because the offensive line, their communication wasn't great. A couple of guys just whiffed. It wasn't always perfect. Arch Manning was able to maneuver his way through the pocket, evade a couple of sacks at times, and make some things happen down the field. So, you see signs, you see glimpses. We saw way more of those today than we did last week, but still some things that need to get cleaned up. I like that Steve Sarkisian left Arch Manning in until the final offensive possession of the game. I know the TV broadcast was like, should we? And of course, you don't want him to get hurt, but that guy needs reps. He needs reps. He needs reps. He needs reps. And the hope is over these next 3 weeks, the 2 games and then the bye week, Arch can continue to clean up some of the mechanical stuff. Obviously, he'll get more reps these next 2 weeks. And then by the time we get to October in SEC play, Arch will be not going to be a finished product, but a much better one than what we've seen right now. But again, a much better showing by Arch today, but still plenty to improve on. There's no doubt. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the bad. We'll get to the ugly. Again, it's a 38-7 win, so plenty of good for the Longhorns, but they didn't cover, so we could be critical of some things that did go wrong. Plenty of teaching opportunities for Steve Sarkisian for sure. More from the Locked On Longhorns postgame show up next. But first, shout out to our friends at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive, and that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving performance that feels alive in every detail, and you can feel it from the moment you get behind the wheel. The smooth handling, the intuitive controls, the gorgeous interior, and the standard all-wheel drive that they have in every crossover SUV. Whether it's a quick drive to practice or a long weekend road trip, Mazda makes every day and every drive feel special. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. And also some love to our friends at DoorDash. Yeah, the weekend is here. It's time to crown this game's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Parker Livingston, once again, he delivered in a big way. A couple of touchdowns, 4 catches, over 120 yards. He came through, no hesitation, no delay. It's 2 strong games in a row. It's no fluke for Parker Livingston. And just like he delivered for Texas, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season long, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order today. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/8. All right, welcome back to the Locked On Longhorns post-game show. Texas 38, San Jose State 7. We talked about the good and Arch Manning, which, again, a lot of good in segment 1. But the bad and the ugly, we'll kind of combine those here for the sake of time. The baddest and the ugliest today, the penalties. 12 penalties for 115 yards for the Longhorns today. Almost looks like a typo. They had 6 last week against Ohio State. Not a ton, only 50 penalty yards, but anybody who watched that game knows that there were some very timely penalties, very costly penalties. I should say untimely penalties. that cost Texas in some crucial spots. They doubled it up today. 12 for 115 yards. You had a block in the back called on a wide receiver. You had a roughing the punter, keep a drive alive. You had a roughing the passer on Colin Simmons. Colin Simmons had a rough day, and he got hurt early in the fourth quarter. I hope he's okay, but he has not had a very good start to the season. 2 offsides on him and a roughing the passer penalty on him. He had illegal shifts on the offense. That's not good enough. You could get away with that against a team like San Jose State when you're a 5-touchdown favorite. I don't think you're going to be able to get away with that when you're playing Florida and Oklahoma and Georgia and A&M and, the real teams that you have moving forward. San Jose State, only 3 penalties for them for 15 yards. Even though a lot didn't go right for them, they played a cleaner game. Way too sloppy for Texas today. Unacceptable. 12 penalties is unacceptable. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care what the score is. That's bad right there. And not a lot of discipline for Texas today. 18 penalties through the first 2 games. It's got to get cleaned up. Some of these situational football issues showed up today. Again, Texas was 2 of 12 on third down in this game. That's bad. 2 of 12. Like, they were better against Ohio State on third down last week, and I don't think they were good enough in that stat a week ago. 2 of 12 on third down in this game. Texas had a 4-minute drill at the end of the first half. They went 3 and out, had to punt. Then they got the ball back towards the end of the first half. A 2-minute drill. That's when Arch Manning threw his interception. So that's another red zone miscue because you get into the red area and you walk away with 0 points. Like that type of stuff, you got to be better on the money downs. You got to be better in the red zone, and you were much better in the red area today compared to last week, but still a turnover, not what you want to see. And yeah, the 4 and 2-minute drills, obviously not a lot of huge moments in this game because Texas was in control pretty much throughout. But when there were big moments, again, those money downs and those 4 2-minute drives at the end of the first half, Texas just couldn't execute. So again, thankfully, you've got some time to clean it up. This Texas offense, again, still a work in progress. I would not feel great about that bunch if the Florida game was 7 days from now, or if the Oklahoma game was 7 days from now. So again, they cleaned some things up, but that situational football needs to improve. And it can't take this offense multiple possessions to get going in every half. Like the first 2 possessions for Texas were not very good. I think Arch Manning started 3 of 6, and Texas had 0 points on their first 2 drives of the game. Started with back-to-back punts. I mean, the first play of the game, you had a nice play call, the reverse to DeAndre Moore, but you had a hold on Parker Livingston, his only bad from today. So all of a sudden you're behind the chains and you end up punting a few plays later. And then after San Jose State misses their field goal, you get the ball back, you get 1 first down, and you punt. So your first 2 drives of the game, you punt it twice. You pick up just 1 first down. Slow starts for Texas. It's happened way too much. It's something else we talked about on Locked On Longhorns last week. Steve Sarkisian, since the start of 2023, his Texas team has now played in 32 games. That means they've had 32 opening possessions on offense. They've scored on only 9 of them. They were 9 of 31 going into today. Now they are 9 of 32 coming out of today. I would like to see that improve. Texas finally got things going. Obviously, the third drive was your 83-yard touchdown pass. And then, of course, the complimentary football. Interception, fumble. Those were the next 3 drives for San Jose State. That turned into touchdown for Texas. They took advantage of the short fields. That's the good. But again, coming into the first half and then the second half too. Field goal and punt for Texas on their first 2 drives of the game, of the third quarter. I'd like to see them whenever they come out of the locker room to start a game or in quarter number 3 to have a little bit more intensity, just be a little bit more locked in than what they've looked like. Obviously, last week, the offense was horrible for an entire half. They didn't score a point for the first 3 quarters. Not the case today, but still a bit too sluggish going into every half. Not what you want to see. And then Arch, the bad from Arch, looked a little gun shy. The Bachelor guy was talking about it on the broadcast a couple of times. Like, there were a few additional moments where Arch Manning had guys open down the field and he just didn't throw it. I don't know if he doesn't trust himself. I don't know if his mental clock is a little sped up, but we want the deep ball. That's what Arch Manning's really good at. That's why so many Longhorn fans last year were clamoring for more Arch Manning, because we know he's capable of throwing a gorgeous ball deep down the field. And at times we've seen it this year, but at times when there's been opportunities, it looks like Arch Manning just hasn't trusted himself enough. So that's something I would like to see improved a little bit. And then I mentioned this earlier, another bad from today. The offensive line was bad. They were bad. Like, that was my most pleasant surprise after week one. I thought the Texas O-line fared very well against Ohio State, considering the atmosphere, considering the opponent, the four new starters up front. I thought the Texas offensive line was going to be in trouble in week one. They ran it for 166 yards in that game. They gave Arch Manning enough clean pockets to make some things happen. Was it a perfect performance? No, but I liked most of what I saw from the O-line last week. I thought they'd be able to dominate today. And again, a lot of communication breakdowns, a lot of free rushers, a lot of guys just missing blocks against all of those Polynesian dudes that San Jose State has up front. Like, that's, Texas ran for fewer yards today against San Jose State than they did last week against Ohio State. That's crazy to me. And not having Trey Wisner, a big part of that, of course, but still not enough holes up front for the offensive line. Like, Central Michigan ran it 51 times for 234 yards against San Jose State in week one. That game was in San Jose too. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, Central Michigan doesn't have the offensive line or the tailbacks that Texas has, even if Trey Wisner's out. They ain't got the guys that we've got down here, all of these 4 and 5 stars. And so I'm thinking, hey, Texas could run it. It's almost like name your yards per carry today. I thought they could run for 250 or 300 if they really wanted to. And a couple of nice runs. Arch Manning had the longest run of the day with that 20-yard touchdown. But yeah, still a lot to be desired there. Jarrett Gibson played the fumble at the end. Not ideal for him. Christian Clark had one nice run, but I wanted to see more. It's his first game. He'll be fine. CJ Baxter, the best tailback out there. But again, just up front, the offensive line not quite as consistently good as I would have liked to have seen. And then last thing, Matthew Caldwell is QB2. We learned it at the end of the game. Matthew Caldwell, at least for now, has won the competition against Trey Owens, and he is Texas's backup because he was the guy who got to play in the final 5 or 6 minutes today. So there's your bad, there's your ugly. But again, a 38-7 win, a nice bounce back performance by the Longhorns. They get the job done at home. A lot to like about today's game, but there is no doubt that there is a lot to clean up from today's game as well. And again, on the good news, you're talking about cleaning things up after a win. It's a lot better than what happened last week. And you still have 2 more games against weaker opponents, tune-up games, if you will. And then you get a bye week before the schedule gets really tough and conference play gets underway. But that is going to do it for the Locked On Longhorns post-game show. If you made it this far, number one, thank you very much. Please remember to like if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment. Would love to hear from y'all. I need to do a better job of responding to comments, but I promise I read them, good, bad, and ugly. I'm always looking at them, so I appreciate y'all chiming in and appreciate y'all making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day. That'll do it for today. Enjoy the football. Once again, Texas 38, San Jose State 7. The Longhorns improved to 1-1 on the season. Thanks y'all for watching. Until next time, horns up, mics off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.